Hi, my name is Kelsey Skolnick and I am a cooking teacher and blogger, and welcome to the Pilot Light Family Meal. Today I'm going to be showing you a really yummy recipe for a blueberry lemon thyme pound cake. The best thing about this recipe is if you don't have blueberries or thyme, you can omit them and just simply have a really awesome lemon pound cake. So let's get started.
We're going to start by getting our pan ready for the bake. Normally you would use a donut pan, but I don't have one of those. So I'm using an 8-inch springform pan, an empty can, and some beans. The first thing I'm going to do is rub some butter in there with a paper towel. Now I'm going to add a little bit of flour and I'm going to rub it around inside the cake pan. This is going to give it a little protection while it's baking and make it easier for the cake to come out. I've got some parchment paper that I like to lay down. It just makes it a little easier to come out at the end of the bake. Now I'm going to put my can in the center and I'm going to add some dried beans. The reason you want to do this is if you don't, while your cake rises, it's going to move that can and, well, your hole won't be there. Make sure I don't leave any beans behind. And now I'm going to get my dry ingredients ready. So I've got my salt and my baking powder. I'm just going to add it to my flour and sift it all together. If you don't have a sifter, it's not a problem. Just use a whisk and make sure it's all in there nice and incorporated. The next thing I'm going to do is add my thyme. So all you do is you pinch at the top and pull down. You want to make sure your leaves are facing up and they'll come right off of your thyme. And then we're going to zest our lemons. I've got 2 lemons here. I like the zest because it really gives you that lemon flavor without adding too much juice. If you notice, I stop before I get to the white. The white's the pith. That's really bitter. We want to make sure we're not getting that in there. The thing that's awesome about using zest too is most of the flavor of a citrus is in the oil and the oil is in the skin. So it's a really great way to get that citrusy brightness. If you don't have a zester, you can just peel it and chop it really fine or put it in a processor. I'm just going to mix it all together, make sure everything's nice and friendly. It smells so good. You can really smell the lemon. So now my dry ingredients are ready and it is time to get my eggs cracked. I always like to crack my eggs on a flat surface. It keeps the eggshells from getting pushed in there, gives you a cleaner break. Also, always make sure that you crack your eggs something separate than what you're mixing in case you get a bad egg, you don't want to ruin everything you've done. Alright, so I'm going to add my butter into my sugar. I like to use unsalted butter when I bake because it helps me control the salt inside of my baked goods. I'm using an electric mixer. If you don't have one, it's not a problem. You can use a hand whisk or a wooden spoon. That works just as well. It just might take you a little bit longer to get that butter and that sugar incorporated. So I'm just going to mix it until it's nice and mixed in. So we're going to add the eggs one at a time, just slowly drop it in, one yolk will fall in, perfect. Always make sure you do one egg at a time too, and you want to mix between just to make sure that your eggs are really in there and dispersed evenly in that batter. So now I'm going to add my dry and wet ingredients. So in case you were looking at the beginning, I forgot to hold my milk out, but good news is I remembered. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you add your wet and your dry ingredients alternately. This helps give you a more even mixing, I guess would be the best way to put it. So you always want to start and end with your dry ingredients. I'm going to add half of my dry ingredients and just mix it until it's all in there. I'm going to add all of my milk. And I'm just using my spatula to fold it all together. I'm not stirring like super vigorously. I'm just gathering it up, folding it around. And now we get to add the blueberries. So this is the important part. Add some flour to your blueberries, whether they're frozen or fresh. You want to make sure you do this. It helps make them float in the batter and they're not all just going to like sink to the bottom. I'm going to add them into my batter. And I want to make sure when I'm mixing them now that I'm kind of delicate with them because if you're really vigorous, you're going to bust those blueberries. Perfect. So I've got my black beans in my can. I'm going to put it right in the center. And I'm going to add my batter. And I'm just going to make it all nice and even and level. 350 for your oven, and we are going to place it in the middle of the oven. There it goes. All right, and we will see you in 45 minutes. So I know it's done if I insert a cake tester or a knife or a toothpick into my cake and it comes out clean. That's what we're going to be looking for. Looks good. I'm going to let that cool for about 10 minutes in the pan, and I'm just going to really quickly get my glaze together. Half a cup of powdered sugar. I'm going to juice that lemon. I like to do it by hand, but you can use a juicer if you want. It's not a problem. And then we just whisk it until it comes together. It's a pretty thin icing, but that's actually what I really like about it. Kind of soaks into that cake. And now it's time to glaze it. So I'm just going to take my pastry brush. If you don't have a pastry brush, you can use a spoon, something like that. If you're feeling wild, use your hands. They're just going to get really sticky. And I'm just going to brush it over all of the cake. So I'm going to get all around it, all over. The best part about doing this while it's warm is it kind of soaks in there. And then, like my friend Emily says, it gets like this crackly little crust on it, which is super satisfying. So I'm going to get all over the cake, get the edges, and of course when it's time, I'm going to get the inside of that cake too. If you're like me, you like pretty things. So I always like to decorate things. I've done this cake before, and I had some extra blueberries that I rolled in sugar and put on top of them. Today I have these little sprinkles that I'm gonna do. They're pretty shiny and, cute. So I just like to add a little flair. Any type of sprinkle you have or whatever, if you want to put it on the cake, go for it. And there is the lemon blueberry pound cake. Oh, and time. Can't forget the time.
Thanks for joining me today. Tag us on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook at Pilot Life Chefs, #PLFamilyMeal. Go to the Food Education Center and click on Family Resources for today's recipes, additional activities related to today's recipes, and of course, additional family recipes and videos. Happy baking!
We want to know how you and your family are enjoying this recipe and making it together. So tag us. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Pilot Life Chefs, #PLFamilyMeal.